Hello, welcome to the CIRS Healing Collective Expert Guest Video Series. I'm Jenny Johnson, the host and facilitator of the CIRS Healing Collective, which has been a resource for aspiring CIRS overcomers to share and connect from around the world since 2020. I'm a shoemaker proficiency partner and CIRS coach, and most importantly, an overcomer myself. What you're about to see is a 10-minute excerpt from a 90-minute group discussion that members of the CIRS Healing Collective got to have live with this expert guest. If you would like to see the full 90-minute replay, come on over to the CIRS Healing Collective. We have a robust video library from the past 5 or 6 years of so many expert guests. Better yet, you'll be able to join our future monthly live discussions with experts to come. We'd love to have you. But back to one thing that you said about the date of onset. So many of us don't really know, like we think, oh my goodness, I think maybe I've been sick since I was a child. I don't really know when this actually started. Do you have a suggestion for CIRS patients? Like, could they choose the date that they got diagnosed by a CIRS doctor, if that was applicable to them? Or in your case, it was, like the date that you got a vaccination, you went downhill. But could it be something more concrete, like the day they received a diagnosis or got certain blood work back or something like that, even if symptoms may have been creeping along for decades or years?
Yeah, I think that would be very appropriate if there's not like a specific vacation or virus or, particular isolated event that you can really pinpoint. I think about a student going to college, I would probably say like the day they moved into the dorm, But, if there isn't something like that, I think a lawyer, which we'll get into, I ended up working with a disability lawyer and team, which was key in this process, would help you work through that. But it is something that you want to have a think on. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I'm sure you'll get into this, and this might tie together, but like what kind of supportive documentation? If we say our date of onset was January 1st and they say, okay, prove it. Do you need to show something that happened on January 1st? Like your lease in this building started, or you started classes in college, or you got a diagnosis, or can it be nebulous? So maybe you'll speak to that. And then I think what I'm looking forward to hearing more from you as we go on is, like, what I'm hearing from you is that you applied before you even knew about CIRS, and then you got diagnosed with CIRS down the road. Were you able to add that information into your application, or do you kind of need to have it all together when you first apply and then it's hard to like add to it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can definitely add to it. There are several different points in the process where they will ask for your updated medical records. So typically what happens is most people end up getting denied because of age is the reality. So the government typically pays Social Security, I guess maybe at 65. And so if you're somebody like me who's 40 or 41 or even younger, that is applying, the government basically sees I'm dishing out all of this money for this person. So the likelihood of you getting it on the first go around, unless you have a small list of already predetermined instant receivers of Social Security disability, like pancreatic cancer, for example. So, if you're not fitting into that, you're gonna be denied basically. And I was very naive. I had no idea. I mean, I cried, I was devastated. I was like in an apartment, barely functional. How could they deny me? I didn't know how I was going to get by. And, that is just the reality of it. The more people I talked to afterwards, I said, oh yeah, of course you got denied. That's how it goes. So you're going to have your second denial, then usually you appeal. And you can send additional paperwork with your appeal during that time. And I have a lot of ideas on paperwork and things you should be collecting as you go through your CIRS process. So let's circle back to that too.
Yeah, so let's come back to that. So I think I cut you off where you were talking about summer when you got that initial denial. And then I started asking you some questions. So sorry for that. We'll come back to your timeline because this is perfect.
Yeah, so that summer then I got denied, and then I reached out to the people that I was involved with, which I had a nurse who was sort of part of the Idaho medical system that would call me once a month after my discharge from the hospital to see how things were going. I said, I think I need a disability lawyer to pursue this. She said, absolutely, you should have a lawyer. And she said, most people don't win unless they have one, which is not always the case, but it does help a lot. And she referred me to somebody locally, but they didn't work with people that are self-employed. And so I think this is really important too, is I won Social Security disability being self-employed. And sometimes people think, well, I can't get disability because I'm self-employed, but there are ways that you can. And she referred me to a group in Washington State, which are Patty and Michael Sexton at mpes.net, and I'll share all of that information with you too. They work with people all over the country. So I didn't realize that you could have somebody in a different state being, a part of your team or helping you. They were instrumental because a nonprofit actually, they help with disability, but they're also really good at helping you get back to work. They're well involved in the Ticket to Work program. They understand if you're working a little bit, how you can use that as part of, it's not a negative thing, because I was still working online as a speech pathologist. This is still pandemic-y times, very, very small capacity. And I was worried, well, can I get disability if I'm working like a smidge, and you can. And they also have people that help you with the Medicare process, because if you get Social Security disability, then you get Medicare after 24 months. So they are a whole team of people that have a lot of experience to walk you through the whole process. So I highly recommend them from that. So they hooked me up with them and they said, oh yeah, like you got denied, no big deal. Like we'll go through the appeal process, second appeal. And so that was like what, September? No, that was okay. So I got first denial in the summer. Second denial was December of 2022. That happened fast. Great, because you want to get to your hearing. The hearing, I didn't get a hearing date until September of 2023. My judge got sick. I didn't get a hearing then until December of 2023, won my case. I have not seen any money now until the beginning of February 2024. So that is nearly 3 years after my date of onset and 2 years after my CIRS diagnosis. So if you're thinking that you'll wait and see, my recommendation would be don't wait and see and start the process, because you can always pull back, you can always pull out, you can change your mind, your own authority. But if you have any feeling like I might actually need this, I would really suggest that you
Get
start
that ball rolling. Yeah, wow. So what happens if, let's say you did fully recover, like while you're in the middle of the process, but it would be really nice to have some compensation for everything that you had to pay out. Does disability work kind of retroactively where they can pay while you were disabled, even if maybe you are moving out of that now?
You have to qualify for disability to get your back pay, as far as much as I understand. So I basically got a back award pay, is what they call it, which was from April of 2021. So my date of onset, I'm sorry, it was October. My date of onset was April. You have to wait 5 months before you collect. So from October 2021 until December 2023, every single month I got a back payment award for all of those months, but I did win my case. Now, if I didn't win my case, I don't think that you would. That would be a question for a lawyer. And the back pay was really essential because I'm a very open person and I've done a lot of work around my relationship to money and things. And I feel very comfortable sharing this with you all, but I had $42,000 on credit cards. Before this, I had excellent credit and everything. And I mean, I blew through my savings in the first like 7 months of being, non-working and non-functional. And so I was lucky I had the excellent credit to then put everything on there. And I was just like, I was so sick. I was like, I'm gonna die if I don't get treatment. So I'm just gonna go for it. What do I have to lose? Like it'll work itself out, which I know everyone's not comfortable with, but I was willing to take that risk based on really the severity of where I was.